So this is 6 stat. What is this? 6-3 we're starting?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6-3. So I forgot the first 5 minutes of the lesson to record it, so my bad. So we're going to do a couple more here. Here's 0. Whoops. Come on, we'll get it. There we go. Here's 0. So I'm going to say, let's see here. I'm going to do 1 again. And then maybe over here would be -1. And I want you to mark 0.9 and its opposite. 0.9 and its opposite on this line that you've drawn. So as I said before, one of the things you could do is always try to label the halfway point. So that would be 0.5, and of course right here would be a -0.5. So I want you to mark 0.9 and its opposite. Mr. Alkema, you got it? Let me see what you got. Nicely done, nicely done. So Mr. Alkema, he marked 0.9, really close to the 1, which is correct. And then for the -0.9, again, it was really close to the -1, and so this is -0.9. Nicely done. I saw a hand for a moment. Question?
No, it was.
Okay, no question? Okay, all right. Any questions on this, you guys? No? Okay, so again, this lesson is all about labeling in decimals and fractions. So now we're going to do the same thing. We've done several with decimals, and again, I apologize. I totally forgot to start recording it. I'm going to do 1 again, and this would be -1. And I want you to mark 2/3 and its opposite. 2/3 and its opposite. So think about it in terms of if 1 was equivalent to something in thirds, what would that be? Well, 3/3 is equivalent to 1. So you need to divide up the spaces between 0 and 1 and 0 and -1 by thirds. Just like if I told you to find, 3/4 and its opposite. That means you're going to divide up the space between 0 and 1 and 0 and -1 by fourths, by quarters. All right. If I said find, I don't know, something, how about like 6/7? That means you're going to divide up between 0 and 1 by 7 parts. And 0 and -1 by 7 parts. Okay, 2/3. Miss Harley, let me see what you got. Okay, so let's do it together then. So, what did I say you had to divide between 0 and 1 into? By thirds, that's right. So about 1/3 would be about 1/3 of the way. You're right about there. 2/3 would be right about here. And this is 3/3 right here. 3/3 is the same as 1. That's a whole. So, Miss Harley, show me where 2/3 would be. Is it going to be closer to the 3/3 or closer to the 0? Okay, nope. This is going to be 1/3. and this would be 2/3. Okay? Yeah, you guys are going to have to learn this. So, Miss Harley, what would the opposite be? So again, we're going to divide it into what would be thirds. So this would be a -1/3. This would be a -2/3. And so its opposite would be right there. Questions on this? I know some of you understand this and others no. Let's do another one. And then we'll look at the lesson itself. Okay, draw yourself another line. Again, I'll be pulling sticks. How about 7.25? How would you label that? Think about it.
What's going to be our two numbers?
Well, right. Think about it. I want you to decide on your own, because there's more than one way to do this one. Ms. Runner, question?
Can you change the number in the middle?
You don't have to put the number in the middle. In some problems, it will help you to find a middle number,
Like this?
and in other problems, no. But again, there's going to be more than one way to do this. In fact, I'm going to give you guys another minute to do this, and I'll probably pull more than one stick because I bet some of you have done it different ways. Okay, so let's take a look here. Mr. McGee, let me see what you got. You just about to finish? Yeah, bring it on up. Let me take a peek at it. Okay. That works. So Mr. McGee, here's what he did. He put a 10 here and a -10 here. And then he put 7.25, 7.25, pretty close to 10, not all the way, and this would be a -7.25. Now, I would not have marked that wrong. That's fine. Who's got one, in fact, instead of pulling sticks, I'll just ask, who's got one that's a little different that they'd want to share? Mr. Lesor, let's take a look at it.
Bottom one.
Bottom one? Oh, okay. So, Mr. Lesor, he put 8 on each end, and then his halfway mark, what's halfway between 0 and 8? 4. Okay. And then from there he went 4, it would be 5, 6, 7. And so right here would be 7, but it's 7.25, and then he'd just do it right next to it, and he put 7.25 because that's a little bit more than 7. In fact, 0.25 is the same as 1/4. And then he did the same thing here. It would be 4, 5, 6, 7, and then just a little bit further, a -7.25. And that's, I would not have marked that wrong. That's perfectly acceptable. All right. Here's what I was thinking, the way I would have done it, which isn't, like I said, there's more than one way to do this. You would not have, I would not have marked it wrong if just because you did it differently than I did. So I was thinking 7.25. I was going to, and this wouldn't be quite to scale, but I think I would just put a 7 here, and then maybe an 8 here, and then divide this into quarters: 7.25, 7.5, 7.75, and divide it into quarters that way. So in other words, right here would be 7.25, and right here would be 7.5, and then right here would be 7.75, or 7 3/4. And then for the opposite, again, I would have done a -7 and a -8 and divided that into quarters. There's a -7.25. And this would be a 7.5 and a 7.75, or 7 3/4. And I heard a couple of you say that's the way you did it. Miss Ryan, is that how you did it?
Yeah,
Similar?
I erased it because I thought it was wrong.
No, wouldn't be wrong. Wouldn't be wrong, honey. Now, again, let me explain something to you guys. This is not to scale, and that's okay. Now, some of you may not know what I mean when I say not to scale.
Is it because like the 7 and the 8 and the 0 aren't like placed like how they really would?
How they really would be. Because take a look at this for a moment. Look how far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's -7. And then right next to it is -8. That's what I mean by it's not to scale. It's not the right size. Okay? So I'm not worried about scale in these kinds of problems. So don't worry about that. This is what I'm worried about right in here. I want to make sure you've marked it correctly. Okay? Questions on this? No? Okay. All right. So let's just take a look at some of their examples here real quick, you guys. And yes.
There's no salad bar this week or the week after spring break.
Oh, okay. All right. So no salad bar today. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, so let's take a look at this here. Okay, so at example 1, it says graph each number and its opposite. Well, we just did several examples of that. So here are they. It's 3/4 and -3/4. All right. And then graph -0.6 and its opposite. So here's what they did. They did a -0.2, a 0.6. They went by 0.4. And so there's a -0.6 and 0.6 and its opposite. Then it says on your own graph 1 or 2.5, -4/5, -3.5. Yeah. I'm not going to have you do those. Let's look at comparing fractions and or mixed numbers. Again, some more examples. So it says graph. Oh, okay. So in this one, they want to make sure you have them in the right location. So here's a -3/4 and here's a -1/2. You should know and understand that the -3/4 would be further to the left. In this one here, it says graph -5/6 and graph a -1/6. And again, you should realize that the -5/6 would be further to the left. Looking at example 3, they're doing the same thing, but now they're doing it with decimals. So a -0.08 and a -3.08 and a -3.8, and there's quite a difference between there. And so again, they give you that example. Then they give you some real life examples. Looks like changes of temperature they're talking about. And then they graph each one of those on a number line. good examples that you guys can refer back to. So let's just jump into what I want you guys to do here. How are we doing on time? Almost 9 o'clock. All right, let's take a look here. Number sense, which statement is not true? So for these, I just want you to put true or false. Obviously, if it's not true, then it would be false. So I want you to do 1, A, B, C, and D.
Mr. David,
Yeah.
for one, wouldn't we just mark which letter would be false?
Right, that's what I just said. Put true or false by A, B, C, or D. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I was saying that instead of you putting true or false on each one, we could just put the letter that is false.
Yeah, like F for false and T for true.
Oh, I'm fine with that. If you just want to put T for true and F for false, that's fine.
Also not.
That's still not what you're asking. Go ahead, keep going.
So, say C was false. Couldn't you just write C for number 1?
Nope. I want you to put true or false, or T or F. Okay? All right, I want you guys to do, come on, here we go. 4 and 5. Graph the number and its opposite, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then copy and complete the statement using greater than or less than. So 10, 11, 12. You don't have to graph these, but actually to answer some of these, it might help you to graph it. Order from least to greatest, 20 and 21.
I think I went too far.
24. It says the apparent magnitude of star measures how bright the star appears seen from Earth. The brighter the star, the lesser the number. Which star is the brighter? The brighter the star, the lesser or smaller the number. So do 24. Do 26. Let's see, which number on the tuner represents a correctly tuned guitar string? So let's see here, let's double check. A guitar tuner allows you to tune a guitar string to its correct pitch. The units on the tuner are measured in cents. The units tell you how far the string tone is above or below the correct pitch. The units on a tuner, I'm trying to understand this for myself, are measured in cents. The units tell you how far the string, so these are the units here, I would gather. Because I don't play a musical instrument. Do you? So maybe you understand this. So then the units tell you how far the string, okay. So what number on the tuner represents a correctly tuned guitar string?
That one's confusing.
So it is kind of confusing. Let's see here. What number on the tuner represents? I'm kind of thinking the smaller the number,
Like 6,
the more accurate it is.
negative 1, 3.
So remember, so let's just say this. Think of it this way. This is a perfectly tuned guitar at 0.
What is that?
But it could be tuned in this direction incorrectly or tuned this direction incorrectly. So it says, what number on the tuner represents a correctly tuned guitar? They don't tell you how far it would have to be correctly tuned.
6, 2, 1.
So I'm kind of curious. I haven't looked in the book yet. So do it this way. Think about it this way. Find the one that's going to be closest to 0. Look at it this way. Another way to think of it. If you were to label all of these, like negative 2.3, so here's negative 1, here's negative 2, negative 2.3 might be right about there, negative 2.3. So if you were to label all of those on a number line, find the one that's closest to 0. Okay? I think that should explain that. Maybe if I was musically inclined, which I'm not, I would understand that better. And I'm not going to worry about B, C, D, and E, since I don't even understand A that well. So 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. All right. I'm going to end this video.